Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy Jonathan Macri with you for another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. We are coming at you a little after 5 o'clock on Monday, the last day of March. But you know what that means. Tomorrow is next month, and next month is playoff basketball. We are gearing up for that. And, of course, for the first time in 2 weeks, I get the pleasure of talking to one Jeremy Cohen. Hello, Jeremy. How are you, sir?
Hello, John. Tired, but good. You know, I was in
You're a
Chicago
traveling
this
man.
past week. I was, yes, I was in Chicago. I don't know how these athletes do it because I'm tired just from today. I mean, I made the joke to you guys. My arms are already exhausted. There's a lot of wind in Chicago. I don't know if you know this. There's a
Right.
ton of wind. Still don't quite know why they call it the Big Apple, but a lot of wind. So just if you ever plan on going there, bring a windbreaker.
I
Just my advice.
I don't own a windbreaker, but maybe I'll purchase one if I ever go to
Should.
Chicago. Did you catch Bulls fever while you were there?
I did not. I caught White Sox fever, and let me tell
Oh.
you, it
Aren't they
is a
really bad?
syndrome. It's a disease I would not wish on anyone. The Yankees had one of the best offensive games ever. Meanwhile, it was 0-0 between the Angels and the White Sox when we stood up for the seventh inning, and I think the final score was 1-0. So if
Yeah.
you hate baseball, I get it. You know, I enjoy baseball, and it was nice to be out there, but yeah, that's not an exciting sport sometimes. And two bad teams just not slugging it out, not exactly what you want to see.
I like how we've been on the pod for about 2 minutes and you managed to get in some Yankee gloating already, which is really it's some good work by you.
Hey, there's good offense. Got to respect it. It's just the stats. It's objectively great. We'll
I'm
see how
just
the
here.
159 go after that.
I'm just here for the show. I'm loving this. How are you? So, other than the fact that you're tired, and you're coming back from Chicago. The last time I talked to you, they were correct me if I'm wrong. They were coming off the Golden State loss, right?
Yes, we had just had the watch party.
Yeah, we just had the watch party, our umpteenth consecutive loss in a watch party, and since then, you want to talk about a bit of a roller coaster ride. I count 3 ups and 2 downs because like this season has gotten to the point where literally every loss is a new opportunity for pearl clutching and hand wringing. But at the same time, I think the wins. I kind of want to start here from my vantage point, and I've been doing a lot of these post games. Obviously, the recent wins at least have taken on more good vibes than some of the other wins earlier in the season, which I think people were maybe brushing off a little quicker. I felt like the last few have maybe felt a little bit different, but that's my perception. I'm curious where you're at.
So they've been 5-3 since we last connected. And I'm starting to feel like, especially without Jalen Brunson, based on how this team has gone along, and the week prior, I was nervous. I kind of had to pick 2-2 because 4-0 just felt daunting. But it also,
Wise man.
I thank you, but also it just felt like this is a team with tired legs. We're getting into the dog days of the NBA season, and now here we are. And now it feels like they've come home. They've had some time to rest, to reset. They've traveled a little bit too, but they've given it their all, and they're not coasting in a way where it felt like maybe they were before. And it's kind of like this is the portion of the story where you really hope it starts to get a little bit more exciting because we can look. The Knicks are on track right now to eclipse 50 wins, and that's phenomenal. And yet it has not felt like the excitement of a 50-win season. We've talked about that before, and these games are starting to creep up. Once the weather gets nicer, we know what that means. They're stringing wins together. But the Knicks have also done a very nice job the 2 seasons prior to this of winning games down the stretch right as the regular season ends. They have hit their stride right before the playoffs, and you certainly hope it carries over for this year too. Last year, of course, there was an exciting game where they won and clinched the 2 seed
against the Bulls.
Yep. And the year before that, they dropped a couple of them at the end, but that was
didn't
after
matter.
they had already
Yeah.
They'd already everything was established. I think before that they had won 4-5 games in a row.
Now I think it was. I want to say they won 7 of 10. No, actually, I think I'll look it up now because they were on a real roll because I looked it up recently.
So they won 5 in a row and then dropped their last 2, and
that's what it was. Yeah,
and I believe that Brunson sat out the last 3, and
Yes,
Randall
and
I think was like out for a few of them because of. Well, actually, we know when he was out. He was out the March 29th game against Miami because that's when Bam Adebayo fell on him.
Well, yeah. No, but the two seasons ago, like I know the last couple games didn't matter. They clinched effectively clinched with like 4 to go, and I think they actually clinched with like 3 to go. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that season was the Bam, and then of course he injured him again. What doesn't really matter. Point being, the Knicks are hitting a late season stride. It's something that they seem to do. Hopefully that continues. And adding Jalen Brunson, you've got this core. I'm so fascinated by how this team collectively, how they incorporate their best player. Are they simply going to let Brunson do all of the magic, or are they going to say, hey, actually, we figured out our best components. Time for you to step in, fit in, don't fit out, which is a crazy thing to even think because, first of all, when LeBron said to Kevin Love, it was pretty passive aggressive. And secondly, I don't mean it in a way that Jalen Brunson can't fit in. He's the best player on the team. It should be a seamless fit. So as long as the Knicks are coached in a way where it is stars or individuals, but also playing collectively and not just, hey, let me get mine and then there's some other guys around there.
Yep.
I think we're in good shape, and that's all you can hope for, because as far as I see it, I don't want to say the Knicks have played the best that they possibly could without Jalen Brunson. I don't think that would be true. But if you were to say to me, hey, Jalen Brunson, he's going to get hurt against the Lakers, he's going to miss a bunch of games, are you going to feel satisfied with how the Knicks have played without him? I would say overall, yes. This has been pretty good. There have been low moments, of course, but as a whole, I've been generally pleased with the outcome.
So I think you said a lot there that I want to hit on kind of one by one. I think the tough part about talking about this stuff, or when conversations happen about events, is whenever something happens where many different things that would seem to run counter to each other can be true at the same time about a thing. It's like people lose the ability to talk about that thing. So it's like we could sit here and we could say, without question, the Knicks going 7-5 now in the 12 most recent games that Jalen Brunson has missed. And if you want to extend it to the one other game he missed this season, 8-5, like in no uncertain terms, that is I don't know if I want to say it's an exceptional achievement, but I think it's a pretty good achievement. I'm pretty impressed by it. I've been impressed by how they've come about these wins and the mettle that they've showed, and like the fact that they just didn't fold, especially where the team was at when he went down. So that's true. It's also true, I think, that they have discovered a lot of things. Well, Jalen Brunson has been out, and I want to talk a little bit about more about some of those things and what is working and what is sustainable and what may be a little bit more difficult to sustain once Brunson is back. So that's true. But at the same time, over these 12 games, they are 7-5 with the 19th ranked offense in basketball. And they, I think Popper had it as his headline for today for Newsday, that like, yeah, the Knicks are doing some really good things and the wings are contributing and the whole thing with Jalen Brunson out. But keep in mind that most of these wins are coming against not the best teams. So to me, there is no question that the Knicks need Jalen Brunson back. And I don't think that's even like a conversation anywhere. That should be that very set in stone. I think where the conversation to me turns interesting is where we get into the opinions about how it should look and what it should look like when Brunson returns. And I will just ask you, because I don't have a clear, like, if you ask me in my mind's eye, like, what does it look like? I'm not sure I have a great answer. Do you?
Probably not, but I want to take one step back, which was the
Sure.
competition that the Knicks have faced. First off, of course, I know you're not saying this. Otherwise, you can only play the teams that are in front of you.
Absolutely.
But the second thing is it's kind of just like, and that's what's been so frustrating for me as a fan this season. It's like, what the hell do you want them to do other than just purely win games? Which, hey, we all want them to win games. If they were beating great competition, then we'd see some crap about like, oh, well, maybe the Knicks play better without Jalen Brunson or something along those lines, or maybe Jalen Brunson has to do a better job. Like, okay, they're losing to bad teams. That's bad. We can agree. It's also, we know how tough a back-to-back two different cities and neither of them being your own can be. Not excusing, just stating what it is. So I just, there's always
you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Yeah.
And it ruins the enjoyment. And that's what I was saying. I've talked about this before. I was talking with my friend about this. Like the Knicks are going to play 3 more games this season against the Celtics and the Cavs combined. So that means there are going to be 10 games. And the first 7 are going to be, well, those are the teams ahead of them, including the Thunder. And the 3 after that, if they win them, well, the other teams weren't really trying.
Yeah.
If they lose them, it's, well, they can't keep winning.
They can't beat these teams.
So at best, we're talking about then 10 out of 82 games that matter, which means why are we even caring about 72 games? Why are we having a conversation about it? And I understand that I'm going a little bit on a soapbox here.
No, I love it.
I don't, but it's truly just about how you evaluate the season and the team and the growth. Because if we have boiled it purely down to the competition and not looking at incremental growth, what the Knicks are learning, how they're getting better, how they're learning from their mistakes to set them up for when it really matters, then just don't watch basketball. Then don't take it as seriously, kind of thing. And that's not to say don't fan for fans. Keep fanning, keep having your opinions. It's just as I kind of survey all of it, it's just like, I just want to enjoy basketball. And why are we hamstringing ourselves to that? It just seems silly.
It is silly. And to dig even deeper into that, and this is something I'd like to think we always do a pretty good job of, there is nuance to this stuff as well. If you look at the Wizards game, which was the last game before Benji and I recorded last week, which I think was part of what, I mean, I know it was part of what prompted Benji to pick 1 and 3 this week, because he just, when he made his prediction, he flatly said the Knicks are not playing very well right now. And it was coming off the back-to-back that we just referenced, and a Wizards game that was one of a handful, if that, of games that, even though they won it this season, you left with maybe not a sour taste in your mouth, but like it was not the best taste. Like, so that Wizards game was night and day for me, at least. Other fan, again, fan how you want to fan. That Wizards game for me was night and day different from not only the 3 wins that they've had since the Wizards game over the Dallas Mavericks, over the Milwaukee Bucks, and over the Portland Trailblazers, but honestly, even the Clippers game, where they got out to a 14-point lead, played exceptionally well at the start of that game. I thought really for the entire first half of that game, even though it was a closer game at the half. And then over the last 3 quarters, the Clippers shot 64% from 3, I think. And we're like, Kawhi Leonard couldn't miss a shot. James Harden couldn't miss a shot. And like all of their like quote unquote non-shooters were hitting threes. And the Knicks, of course, couldn't hit the far side of a barn throughout much of the rest of that game. So like, if you look at those games one by one and you dig in deeper about how those games unfolded, the challenges that the Knicks faced within each of those games and how they responded to those challenges, I am totally comfortable feeling really good about this stretch. And I'll even go a step further and say, like, I feel a little bit lucky that they faced some teams that were maybe not the heaviest hitters, but that allowed this group without Jalen Brunson to coalesce in the way that they are coalescing right now and get on this roll to the point that we can sit here and be like, boy, how are they going to reintegrate their best player? That would have been an asinine thing to even bring up a couple weeks ago. And now it's like, yeah, there's an asterisk to it because it's like, obviously they need him back. But again, it's a conversation. You know what I mean? I
absolutely do. And to your point, if Cameron Payne doesn't go down with an injury, how does that game fix it? I was at the Clippers game. It was frustrating to watch for several reasons, but at no point was I like, this is an abomination, because it was like the Knicks are down to their 3rd string point guard here, who has barely played, and they're playing Delon Wright, and this is a very good Clippers team. And I gotta tell you, I don't know if you felt this. I certainly did, because I was also at another Clippers Knicks game, and when Batum hit a wide open three, I'm pretty sure it was strong side above the break.
Okay.
It sent me right back to when I was sitting in the same seat.
Oh
And
my
you
God.
remember that buzzer beater to send the Clippers game to overtime?
Of course,
Remember
when
that
they
one?
made that crazy comeback.
It was the same shot, and as the ball gets in his hands, I'm like, I can't. It's gonna happen again. It's gonna do it, and lo and behold, it traumatizing. But
that team seems to have our number. I don't know why.
They really, yeah.
There are a few teams out there that have the Knicks number. The Clippers are absolutely one of them.
Yeah, and the thing that really frustrated me the most was when Precious took that pull up
like
from,
the 18th
from mid range. Yes, that one where the moment he got the ball, I already had my head in my hands, and I was like,
I waited till the shot went up.
And he did it. He did it. And I'm not even exaggerating. The man behind me put his hand on my shoulder and said, "You saw that coming from a mile away, didn't you?" And I just nodded. And I said, "Yeah, I've watched a lot of this team. I knew. I just knew."
Oh God! All right, yeah.
But
So there was some not great moments. But
those are not great moments, and the rest, I thought, like, it was a gutsy Bucks win to pull out. And
yes,
we've talked before about the Blazers. They are a better team than on paper. I understand Scoot wasn't playing either. Denny Avdija has had a fantastic season. He was playing really well. The Knicks found it within themselves, especially on that fourth quarter run, to beat up on a young team. Like, that's where the experience kicked in, and that's why it's so important to have those types of games, because if you're not going to blow them out of the water, fine, so be it. We knew it was already tough in Portland when it had to be a buzzer beater. If you're not going to have it here, that's fine, but show the resolve, show the mental toughness that a lot of fans, that especially on the defensive side, that are of a concern. And it's great having Mitch back to anchor that defense. I just want to know, when you bring Brunson back into the fold, what are we looking at? And then how are we parsing out that data? Because let's say Jalen Brunson comes back for 5 games, right?
You figure it's going to be at least 4, but yeah.
Right. And okay, so it's at least 4. And I think at least one of them is going to have a back-to-back. So the odds of...
I think it depends when his first game is. If he comes back No,
the 10th and the 11th, there's a back-to-back.
No, but if he plays... Wait, correct me if I'm wrong here. If he plays the 5th, the 8th, the 10th, and the 13th, then it's fine.
But I'm saying there is a game on the 11th as well. So he might sit out one of them. But I'm I'm
accounting for the fact that he'll sit out the back-to-backs. I'm saying as long as he comes back by Saturday, shout out to our watch party that we'll talk about later, he could play 4 games the rest of the year without playing in any back-to-backs.
Agreed.
Yes.
All I'm saying is you involve him back into the system with Mitchell Robinson, who will also be on some sort of restriction because of his injuries. So how are you, not how are you building chemistry, but how are you able to determine what is real given the sample size, given also the opponents that you're probably facing? Because if we, like, even if Jalen Brunson came back against the Sixers on the 1st, which maybe he does, but let's say he does not, right? Okay. If he doesn't come back for that, then it's the Cavs game. That's a tough game to integrate him into. Cavs are fighting for best seed for home court advantage at the whole playoffs.
Do they really? I don't even know if they're really in the running for that still.
They may not be, because OKC probably has them.
They're 2.5 back as of right now.
It's tough. It's probably, but they'll probably still play their guys. Atlanta, they're probably pretty much locked into the 7th for the play-in, but you never really know. Phoenix is going to be
half game up on
the more room than that. That's it. Okay, so yeah, they've got something to fight for.
Yeah, they do.
Phoenix is just
no KD for that.
Nope. Then you've got Boston. Boston's probably not going to try at that point. They've already won the division. They're probably not getting the 1 seed by that point. So they're going to be playing their worst players. You've got the Pistons, who are going to be fighting, because literally, I mean, especially based on what we saw, but they're also going to be fighting for playoff seeding. And then you've got the Cavs, who at that point can almost guarantee it'll be a bench game. And then a Nets team that's likely tanking. So not likely, that will be tanking. So How many of those games are real and feature Jalen Brunson and Mitchell Robinson and tell you what you need to know about how the Knicks go into the playoffs? They're going to be significant questions. And that's fine. There will have to be some answers to them, but it's going to be tricky to see exactly how it works out until we actually see it.
I think that's and I want to pick up on that point because you raised something that got me thinking of my newsletter that I'm writing for Tuesday. But first, let's take a very quick break as I take off my headphones and put on a hat.
Ooh.
To talk about Bird Dogs. So our friends at Bird Dogs, I say that purposefully. They have certainly been friends of mine for a while because Bird Dogs is something that I got introduced to a few years ago when they advertised on the pod. And I swear on my kids, I loved the shorts that they sent me so much that when I forget if it was my birthday or Father's Day, it might have actually been both. When my wife asked me, what do I want? I'm like, just get me some Bird Dog shorts. I've never worn shorts like this. They're the most comfortable shorts I have ever worn. I will never wear any other shorts besides Bird Dog shorts. So you can tweet at her. It was at D Kuzimak, I think, on Twitter. She'll tell you. My drawer is full of these. So then when Bird Dogs reach back out and like, hey, we want to get back involved with the Knicks Film School podcast, I'm like, should I tell these people that they already have me? They don't need to send me more free stuff. And I'm like, no, I'll take the free stuff. Because I love it. And it's the easiest ad read I will ever have to do, because to tell you that there is nothing that compares to Bird Dog's stretch khaki shorts. I mean it. They are comfortable. They look fantastic. They're versatile. Like, I have actually worn these out in like a social situation, and then I've put on the exact same shorts the next day to go to the gym or go for a run. They're easily the most versatile shorts that you will ever find. So if you want to get in on the action for a limited time, our listeners can get a free hat with any order. This is the hat right there that I'm wearing. If you use code KFS at birddogs.com, again, you get the hat completely free when you use code KFS at birddogs.com. I'm wearing the shorts right now. Can I stand up for a sec? Here we go. Look at these babies. They stretch. They're beautiful. Telling you, you're gonna want to be in a pair of these. Support Knicks Film School. Let them know that we sent you. Again, KFS is the code at birddogs.com. Okay, giddy up. I know you have Bird Dog shorts too, because we had a conversation once.
I do. I have them in my dresser.
There you go. You don't have the hat though. You got to get yourself one of these hats.
I do. I gotta get the hat. Clearly they only give it to some, not to others.
You got to be in the captain's chair for that. That's really what it is.
I guess so. Well, I guess I'll never get a hat. That's okay. I'll live with it.
One of these days.
Yeah.
Maybe if you had predicted games better this year, you would have moved up. But alas,
that's true.
So, can I just take a quick break to ask any enterprising listener out there who wants to take the time to see what the record and predictions are? I will give you happily a shout out on the show. Just email what the record is, honor code, obviously. Email it to knicksfilmschool@gmail.com because I'm just genuinely curious, and I think Andrew has completely given up on this. I know you're not going to go back and see what the record is. I don't have time to go back. So if anybody wants to do that, I barely listen to my own content. Why would I go back and listen to me losing? And also, congratulations to Kevin on being named in the future for finding out who wins. If it's not Kevin, we gotta step it up, man. There you go. Okay, so let's get back to what we could actually learn for the rest of the season, because I think that's a fascinating conversation. You just went through the schedule. I agree with you that there are very few games in which the Knicks are going to probably be significantly challenged, and to the extent that they are really challenged, like, they're going to be locked into their seed. I have a funny feeling they may be locked into their seed pretty soon. With real, and they're going to know that. And this is also a veteran team. Like, they have been obviously to the playoffs before. I know as a group they have not been to the playoffs before, but I don't get the sense that anyone in that locker room, especially Jalen Brunson, is going to be feeling some kind of sense of urgency. Like, oh my God, I have to find chemistry with, this new version of OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges or things like that. I just don't get that sense that that's what this is how this is going to go. What I will say is I thought, shout out to Benji, who went on WFAN last night and had a great spot. And when he was asked about Brunson's kind of reintegration and can the things that are going on now keep up, I thought he made it a good distinction, which is that OG Anunoby, because of the way he scores, where it's just like, hey, I got a lane, I'm going to catch it, I'm going to go, and, you know, he's attacking the rim, or he's just putting it up from three at a high volume, which is great. Benji's like, I don't think the adjustment's going to be hard for him. It's Bridges, who is out there running a significant amount of pick and roll, that might be more of the adjustment. And I wonder how that goes, because, like, in theory, those guys should have the easiest time playing off of each other because they have all of the college experience. Like, JALEN has more experience in college playing with Mikal than he does with Josh. So, and yet I don't know that we've seen any real, what I would define as chemistry, develop between those two players over the course of this year. And maybe that's on Tibbs. I think it's fair to say that, because, like, ultimately he's the coach and he kind of directs these guys on how to play. But also, as Benji always says, there's also agency here. So I guess of everything that I'm looking for, I am going to look at how those two players interact, you know, in a basketball sense, not like personality wise, like on the court once Brunson is back. That's the number one thing that I'm looking for.
And it's a good one, especially just as we talked about, what you have given up in order to get Mikal Bridges. You need to figure out exactly how he's going to fit into your plan to succeed when it matters most. That's a good one. For me, it's probably going to be on the OG side.
Okay.
Nominated for Player of the Week. I don't anticipate him to be as good as he was this past week moving forward, especially when you have Brunson back into the fold. However, his ability to not just hit corner threes, but the dunks, I think he's top 5. I saw, I think it was Owen Phillips who tweeted that he's 5th in combined dunks and threes on the season. Mm-hmm.
That's a great
that's what he does. So finding him, especially with the cutting, getting him in the right position to succeed, that rip through, all of it, it's blossoming. It's just, then it's a question of, okay, you've been able to win by committee and you've taken that step forward. Can you still keep that up even when you have someone who's driving as much as Jalen Brunson does? Especially because I love the increased drives that we've seen from this Knicks team, and someone had to take on the burden. Otherwise, it would have been a disaster. But I keep thinking of, you know, when Jalen Brunson has met elite point of attack defenders, Dyson Daniels or Asar Thompson, any of these guys, the offense has faltered. And so it's then a question of if you can get the switching, if you can get more guys downhill, if you can create opportunities where then you even get Jalen Brunson spotting up more so that he doesn't have to take as many pull-up shots because he is primarily the pull-up, especially from 3, but the pull-up shooter. Any of those sorts of actions to really get the offense flowing a little bit more because the Knicks are probably going to have to play. I mean, unless they play a team like Milwaukee, which, hey, they could. It feels like they're going to.
They might
really have to take it defensively from the other team. So to avoid a team wearing you down in the first round, if you have higher aspirations than that, important to get better looks so that when someone gets mauled, they're also saved by someone else who's larger and can do something similar.
There's no excuse for this team to ever take a bad shot again. Like, I know that
hasn't been.
That probably sounds hyperbolic, but yet like, look, to their credit, for the first 2-ish months of the regular season, they kind of very rarely took back. Like, I don't know, 1 out of every 20 or so was. I mean, it was that good, and their offensive rating compared not only to the other teams in the league, but historically, I think indicated that. And then it started to go downhill, and then it got to a really funky place. You know, and yeah, the OG going out and Precious starting those games, like, needless to say, that had a lot to do with it. And it, you know, and then if you want to put that post Precious time, but pre-Brunson injury time on, well, OG was working his way back, and also Cat was dealing with the knee. So if you want to like kind of toss that out too, I guess you can. Either way, it's been a while since we've seen the offense operate at that level. So maybe to your original point a few minutes ago, if there's one thing I would like to see, regardless of the competition they're facing and what those teams will have or won't have at stake or what they'll be playing for, just getting back into that offensive flow where it's just nothing but good shots. Whether the shots go in or the shots don't go in, it's nothing but good shots. And I think that just comes down to continuing to move the ball, which is, it's a very long-winded way of getting here. The fact that they are, since Brunson went down, seventh in assist rate or seventh in assist percentage in the league over the last 12 games. I think that's really encouraging. I think of everything that we've seen, I think that is as encouraging as anything. And it also makes sense, right? Because you don't have Brunson isolation to bail you out. So you got to pass the ball to get good shots. That OG stat, I just looked it up. Can I tell you what makes it even better? So
Please do.
He's fifth, but I'm looking at the list right now. He's the only player, and there's an extended list that goes down to 24. He's the only player in the league, I think, that has over 100 dunks and over 100 threes. The closest one to him is Victor Wembanyama, who had 91. I can't tell if this is 91 dunks and 142 threes, the other way around. Either way, Wemby's the closest guy. And then everybody else, there's like a big, like Steph Curry has 268 threes. Oh, here it is. 268 threes, one dunk. OG's got 116 dunks and 152 threes. That's like, man, that's a unique weapon. That's a really unique weapon. And he's the one, and I think I agree with you, like, in the sense that he's so vital to this Knicks offense. And maybe it's something as simple as like, hey, we were waiting all year for the Bridges plus second unit lineups to really get extended run. Maybe that's the answer. Maybe it's just Bridges plays with the second unit more, probably with Cat. And then, your subs, and then you go on from there, because then who does he get to play with? He gets to play with Cameron Payne. I don't know if Landry Shamet's going to be in the playoff rotation. Probably not, but we'll see. And who knows? Maybe Mitchell Robinson's out there for those minutes as well. Like that. See, this is what the more we talk about it, the more I talk myself into. There is actually a lot of things left to kind of uncover and discover.
Yeah. The other thing that's fascinated me this past week is the minutes, the pairing of Josh Hart and Karl Anthony Towns. Because when you put Hart on the bench, especially based on how Tibbs would do his substitutions, you're then all but guaranteeing him and Mitchell Robinson would play together, unless you started Mitchell Robinson.
If you started Deuce, if you change the starting lineup, got it.
Right. Let's say that they were a healthy team going into the playoffs, and then they decided to change things up. The Josh Hart of it all has always been so fascinating to me because, okay, you don't want him in the starting lineup. That's fine. If you want Deuce, okay, but now you're probably looking at Hart and Mitch on the floor together. That hurts the spacing. Okay, do you want to start Mitch ahead? You could do that, but then based on matchups, how often do you want Mitch to be there? When do you bring Hart in? I'm hopeful that what I'm getting to is if you feel like Mitch and Hart shouldn't play together too often in the playoffs because of the lack of spacing, and you also feel like, hey, I've seen maybe a little too much Josh Hart. I'd like to see less. I want to see plenty, but I'd like to see less of it. And I also want to see more of Mitchell Robinson. That is how you in some ways balance it out, where, okay, you get a bit less of the Josh of it all, because now you've ramped up Mitch to be able to support, and then you're not as likely to play the two of them together as frequently. I know it's going to be based on matchups. It's going to be based on the tone of the game. There's so many different factors that Tibbs is going to consider, but just from, in the peanut gallery, that's my thinking of, well, one solution, of course, there would be, let's elevate Mitch once he's ready, and then presumably a little bit less Josh Hart.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been waiting for a little bit less Josh Hart for, 74 games now. Mm-hmm. And every time there's another half of basketball or whatever it is where you're like, man, this is a little underwhelming. Like, you could argue the first half against Portland, he goes out there in the second half and has a spectacular half and figures out ways to get himself integrated, and his hesitancy and lack of efficiency, frankly, from deep doesn't get in the way. I mean, again, if we're going through the list of, we should have made this a gimmick, list of things we want to see over the next 8 games. Josh Hart regaining some semblance of confidence from 3 is probably somewhat high on the list.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I want to say, and then we can move on to game ball, is the challenges that you're talking about with the lineup and the fact that they are going to have 2 prominent members of their rotation in the playoffs who are not floor spacers. Even though, Mitch, they are both like spacers in a way, in that, like, when Josh has the ball or when Josh is involved in the action, he needs to be paid attention to. Anywhere Mitch is, if he is a threat to roll to the rim, he needs to be paid attention to. We even saw the Blazers on a couple of occasions completely ignore Mitch on the short roll. Once he made them pay with not the quickest kick out to OG Anunoby, but a quick enough kick out. And then the second time he was a little bit slower to the trigger, and it cost the Knicks. So how much your team's going to do with that? In any case, Brunson being back will make some of those decisions easier, because that, to me, is the biggest benefit to having his kind of get out of jail free card isolation game, is when you maybe have to go with not the best lineup for 3 or 4 minutes. Well, you got Jalen Brunson out there, and I understand that isn't always pretty, but sometimes you just got to bridge the gap. So listen, a lot to talk about here, or a lot to think about, a lot to look for in these last 8 games, for as much as there is arguably nothing to look for or anything. Anything else from you before we get to game balls?
I think that we've said enough. I think said it all.
Okay.
Enough.
I mean, there's always more to say, but
always.
I see Andrew's putting on his headphones, which means I've forgotten something. No, never mind. I didn't. He shake. I made Andrew mad. Okay, game ball. Give it out. Get the graphic up there. Give it out to somebody. Hates when I do that. Give it out to a player, coach, or entity that stood out this week and deserves special recognition. Andrew, you could write me an angry text right now if you want. It won't distract me at all. I go first because I'm not the one who picked 1 and 3 this week. I'm going to give it to the guy. Nor are you. Sorry. I'm going to give it to the guy that was nominated for Eastern Conference Player of the Week. OG Anunoby is playing the best basketball of his career. I don't think that's a controversial statement at this point. It's not the points themselves, but how he is coming about those points. I had a stat in the newsletter after the Portland game about he was averaging, I think, 5.1 drives per game through the season up until when Jalen Brunson got injured. And he's at almost 9 per game since Brunson went down. His field goal attempts off of those drives has basically doubled. So this is, his version of self-creation, even though OG works best when someone else on the offense, maybe if not gets a domino to fall, gets a domino to like start falling down, and then OG can be the one to knock it over. And then when you throw in the splash plays on defense, whether it's funny, Breen credited Towns with a block on the broadcast yesterday, but it was actually OG. And I thought it was OG in the moment and went back and saw it. But between that, he had some steals. I hope he makes all defense. That's the only other thing I want to say. I hope he's in the running for sure. I don't know, is he going to get there? If I had to bet on it right now, I'd probably bet not, even though I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm going to give the game ball to OG.
He is the most worthwhile candidate, in my opinion. So easy selection. I'm going to give it to Mikal Bridges. He deserves that honor, but I'm not going to talk about Mikal Bridges, not because he's not deserving of the words, but because I feel like someone else deserves limelight as well.
Okay.
And that is going to be, so it is Mikal Bridges's. So I know it'll look weird, but I'm going to talk about Delon Wright because, and here's,
I didn't think that's where you were going.
No. And I understand it's like, it's an unheralded position, but this is someone who you see Jalen Brunson, Cameron Payne, and Juice McBride, all out due to injury. You have Tyler Kolek, who very green, getting the opportunity to play. Of course, we saw one out of bounds pass against the Clippers, out of there. Tibbs just
Wasn't
says,
even
nope,
really his fault.
It wasn't, but that was enough to
Yeah.
yank him from that spot. Revenge game against the Bucks. You know, we always talk about winning and losing trades. I have not seen a single word from anyone. And maybe they've said it and I just haven't seen it. But I just, there has not been very much about the fact that this front office did a much better job so far with the Delon Wright trade than the Milwaukee Bucks did with the Jericho Sims trade, partially because of the injury. But that doesn't matter. You traded two expiring free agent, two guys are going to be free agents. You even got, nice little piece on the side with Hugo with the draft rights. So
of course,
that was a nice trade. And this is exactly why the Knicks needed to trade from a period of significant strength. The irony, of course, here being that Ariel Hukporti is out, so Jericho Sims would have been the third center, but Mitchell Robinson's back. And they can still have Precious Achiuwa, and maybe that's not the most ideal, but you didn't need 5 capable big men who could see time at the 5. Even if Precious doesn't even play the 5 much, you just didn't need it. So for the Knicks to be able to bring someone like that into the fold, to be a steadying hand, we know that the Knicks have typically really liked having at least 3 lead ball handlers, and having right there. I mean, I'm not going to say I shudder to think what this week looks like without Delon Wright. I think that's a little over dramatic, but he played a calming, steadying role that just went very much under the radar. And I think, there are no small parts, only small actors. And I didn't think that Delon Wright was a small actor at all this week. I thought he played his part very well, not perfectly, but it's a lot to ask for from a third, fourth, whatever string point guard you want to call him. He stepped in and helped lead to a few different wins there.
Calming, steadying presence is often code for a guy like was out there getting his cardio in. And I know that's not how you mean it. And I just want to be very clear. When there was an opportunity there to take a shot, whether it was a 3 or make a drive and put up a shot at the rim, like Delon Wright has taken those opportunities at the appropriate times. And he's also doing what else he needs to do on offense defensively. He's been really good defensively. Like that guy could still defend at a very, very high NBA level. So I love that you shouted him out. That was great stuff. Okay. Detention given to a player, coach, or entity who deserves to sit down and think about what they did a little bit this week. Man,
it's my turn.
Oh yeah, it is. But I'm glad it's your turn because although maybe you'll take like the only decent candidate because I don't know how many good candidates there are.
There's a good candidate in my mind.
Okay.
I'm going to take. It's not going to be a player. It's not going to be a coach. It's going to be an entity. I'm taking for detention this week. I'm putting one Benji Ritholtz in detention. Benji,
go for it.
The hell, man! I had a good thing going. I'm not saying I would have beaten John. I would not have. We'll let some other fellow nerd game respect game do the math on all of the losses I've had. I'm not even saying that I put myself in best position because no, I did not. But dude. 1-3. I mean, that I'm trying to figure out what it is that I did to Benji where he would sabotage me and be a heel. Like I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me. If anything, Benji, I should be sabotaging you. You've got a beautiful family. You're 6'3". You played college ball.
WFAN.
I mean, big time stuff, I don't understand it. And it makes me mad. And I said to Benji last night, meet me in Temecula. And I mean it, Benji, meet me in Temecula, but specifically on a Friday, because I know you can't put in the work, but I sure as hell can. And all I'm going to say, because I thought we were mishpucha, but I guess we're not. So that's that. Friendship, brotherhood over, I suppose. And John, I love Benji is who he is. I love everything about what he embodies. I'm like, oh, I'm Benji. I'm a lawyer. My parents love me. They're proud of me. We can't all aspire to that dream. But here's the thing, Benji. I just don't understand it. I don't get it. I'm offended. I'm hurt. John, as you know, Benji wears a yarmulke. Another name for a yarmulke is a kippa. And Benji, keep away from my team and my picking because, dude, I swear to Hashem, man, this is a bad look for both of us. But more me, because now I have to go up here and face the music to John. And it sucks. I hate it. So, Benji, you're in detention. Think about what you did. Because 1 and 3, just unacceptable, dude.
That's the most Yiddish I've heard in a while in one short stint. I appreciate it though.
Yeah,
it was great. It's fantastic. GMAC is telling me to put the cheating ass Yankees in detention. John, I'm not going to do that.
So bitter. I thought we were still celebrating the 15 years of Juan Soto. Why are we focusing on the Yankees? Come on, we don't need to do this, Andrew.
Oh my God, we can't do this right now. We can't do this right now.
Was done. Okay, it needs to be acknowledged. Okay,
what was that wrong, Andrew?
They're cheating.
Okay, can you prove it?
Since when does a baseball bat look like that? Like a torpedo,
my Lord.
Jeremy.
Okay, we're not doing this.
If I had $1 for every time I heard that, you know.
Okay.
I'm gonna give my detention not to the Yankees. What? Say one more thing, Andrew. What?
All I'm gonna say, because I know we have a hard out.
We do.
Speaking of, this shit might be revolutionary. I think we're all literally just staring at the baseball bats right now and just going like, "But can you do that?" And everybody's like, "Yes, you can."
Other teams have done this.
Like, all jokes aside, I'm like dead serious. As a
I know. No, it's awesome.
This is like when the first person threw left-handed, and you're like, "Wait, you can do that?" Like, that's basically been my reaction for the last 2 days. That the Yankees literally discovered the alley-oop like the end of semi-pro. Okay, John, give out a real detention.
I'm gonna give out my detention to the Memphis Grizzlies. You chicken shits. You should have, if you wanted to cut off Taylor Jenkins at the legs, you should have just fired him last summer, as opposed to sticking him with a whole new batch of assistant coaches. And then when the thing that you foisted upon him was not working because the star player didn't like it, then you fire the guy. Shame on you. I hope they lose every game for the rest of the season and every game in the playoffs, or maybe the play-in if they fall out of the playoff race, which is honestly what I hope happens. So Grizzlies, you're going into detention this week. Predictions. We got a 4-game slate. Knicks will play 8 games over the final 13 days, 3 back-to-backs in here, as Jeremy referenced earlier. These 4 will come against the Philadelphia 76ers at home on Tuesday, at Cleveland on Wednesday, Saturday, April 5th at the Atlanta Hawks. More on that in a second. And then Sunday, April 6th against the Kevin Durant-less Phoenix Suns. I am going to go with, I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm going to go 3-1.
Who cares? Doesn't matter.
I love you.
I don't want to do this anymore. I will go. Damn it! It's really frustrating.
I know.
I mean, I've got nothing to lose.
Go for it. Fuck it.
I'm gonna take it. It's not gonna be good. I'm still gonna, on April 7th, be back here going second, but 4-0. It's gonna 4-0 week.
I hope. I
go
you know.
Into the playoffs.
I hope I always say this when you pick more wins than I do. I hope you win. I really do.
Because it has no bearing on you anymore. You're golden.
Well, listen. Again, some enterprising fellow or gal can do the math and see what the scoreboard is at this point in the season. But until then, I will continue to take victory laps in my mind, and also promote our next event, which is a watch party on Saturday. This is going to be a afternoon watch party against the Hawks. It's a 3 p.m. start time to that game. Things will kick off at T-Squared Social at 1:30. It is family day. So the KFS crew will be there, some of us with our families. I'm bringing my wife and daughters. I know some other people are bringing their families as well. Feel free to bring yours too. T-Squared Social, great place for kids as well as adults. They have the different bays with all the different sports simulations. They have the duck pin bowling. Great food, the whole thing. So come on down, whether it's just yourself or with your family, and hopefully see the Knicks win their, what would that be, their 5th consecutive game, I guess. Yeah, if they win the next 2 before that. And who knows, maybe it's Jalen Brunson's return game. Maybe it's an opportunity to clinch the 3rd seed. Lots of things on the table at this point in the season. But yeah, T-Squared Social Watch Party next Saturday. Be there or be T-Squared. Jeremy, anything from you before I hustle the hell out of my office so my wife could take my place?
Love you, Benji.
Love it. All right, Andrew, did I forget anything?
No, Dolores, you're welcome.
All right, everybody, thank you for checking out another episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast. We will be back with more fun and games before you know it. Until then, take care. Peace out.